This is my Volvo 240 project, affectionately named the LS240. It's fast, and I'd consider it really fast, but it could be faster. In this video, looking at something a little less exciting, looking at the heating and cooling installation in the car. I've mentioned before, but this is more of a street car than it is a race car, and I'd like it to be something that's comfortable for a long drag and drive event. So the last drag and drive I did was I suppose a cooler weather drag and drive. Would have been nice to have heating, but if I ever do a summer one, it's going to be even better to have air conditioning. So I'm going down that route, and that's what this video is going to focus on. So stay tuned. I've been hard at work today making this condenser fit. I'm not using the Falcon one anymore. I've changed to a Mitsubishi Lancer one. It's a better fit, and the hardline here already has the pressure port, which is handy, and the orientation's correct, whereas the Falcon one's on this side, which would be awkward. This also has a built-in receiver dryer with a replacement cap on the bottom, so I can put a new desiccant bag in there, which is going to be handy. Just made some really crappy little brackets here to hold it. I might come back to them later, but they're getting the job done. It's in. It is a snug fit, but everything bolts up. I've just been trimming the headlight bucket so it fits. It's going pretty well. The radiator's back in its original spot. Everything's sort of loose at the moment, but it does fit. The radiator did sit up that little bit before, which is fine. Yeah, it's coming along. I think I've hacked up all of the hard lines that I need now and adapted what is required. I've also got a nice new box of number 10 aircon hose. So now I need to make this all fit. I think for this suction hose, I'm going to run it underneath and up through here, and then inside the guard, and then pop out the back of the guard where the firewall is. So I need to drop the guard down because I need to take the guard off, which is harder than it seems because I glued this bumper cover on because all the clips were broken. So I need to cut all of that off now. Several hours later, but I have the front bar, the radiator, the front panel that's riveted on, and the guard off. I've just cut the hole saw out and cut a hole. This is kind of what I was expecting. That's what I was hoping to do. So I'm going to put the fittings here. I'll run the hose sort of in, and here I'll just tuck it inside the guard, just peg it in along this way, and then around here it'll go down and underneath. Looks like it's going to work, so the next step would be to commit to cutting the hole. I'll take the dump pipe off because it's going to be in the way of the tools. Basically where these air fittings are, I don't need the air fittings anymore, so the panel's going to replace that. Just cut a hole for the firewall bulkhead. I've just mocked up the heater hoses as an option. I don't know if I'll use these yet, or if I'll end up doing hardline up into the center of the firewall and then go back to flex after that. But yeah, it's in. The other two are obviously for the aircon. I'll just put some fittings on there just to sort of show how it looks. I don't have my new fittings yet, but there's just a couple of older ones. So number 10 and number 6. This bend would actually be quite convenient, but I can't buy that in an aftermarket fitting. So there's going to be two 90s here, like the bottom one, and they'll both have test ports on them. And they'll pop out through this hole, run across the side of the guard. Looks like it's all going to work. Just got to work out how I deal with the heat on the heater hoses. And for intercooler clearance, I reckon I've still got enough. That's the position the front bar sits in. There's a lip panel that's got to go on. I'm going to do this one-handed. There. So I might need to trim just a little bit in here, just to give it room. I'm using a 100mm core, so it's got to be snug on that panel, but I know it will fit because this is not really doing a lot. I can't go past here because that's where the grill is retained, so sort of to that point only. That'll be fine. Transmission cooler steps forward in front of the sensor, so that's fine too. Yep, it's all looking alright. It's getting pretty cluttered in here now, but you can see the two aircon lines come out I run through here. I'll do something a bit neater here just to make that smoother for the hoses. They're just zip tied in place at the moment to get a good idea of where they'll run. That's my sketchy catch can, works fine. Comes down here. This is where the guard bolts on, so you can see it's going to be inside the guard. So around here, goes down next to the intercooler pipe. Then under here, it's going to be anchored to the front of the radiator support. This hose here will be cut down. It needs to connect to here, and the other one goes under. Probably can't see it, but that's the compressor to condenser, which is fine. This other one here is the suction return to the compressor. So that's just sitting there at the moment. I'll have to cut that to length and put a fitting on it, but that sort of gives an idea of where everything will sit, and it will clear everything, which is good. Got another one of these condenser fittings jollies today. Just bent the line so it sort of goes underneath the condenser. Did a really average job of brazing it on, but I think it'll hold. Now I've just got to crimp the original Volvo 240 hose. Then I'll P-clip here, P-clip the suction side underneath here as well. And that's done then. Just got to make the headlight buckets fit. Just crimping these lines. It's nice to have access to the right tools. Thanks to my father-in-law Rick for letting me borrow his AC crimper. So I've just marked it and I put an index mark on here. Yeah, good focus. Just to ensure that it's all lined up. And yeah, I'll crimp these on. Yep, that's those two done. That's condenser to firewall and suction return back to the compressor. And over here, this is the number 8 line that goes from compressor to condenser. So yeah, all coming together, looks alright. Now I'll move on to the inside of the firewall and do the other short hoses. These fittings don't come with O-rings when you buy them, but I bought this kit. It's got all the sizes I might need, suitable for R134 gas, so they're on there. I'm going to replace all the other O-rings that I can see, like there's some on the pressure sensor and stuff that will need doing, so I'll change them all, make them new, and then I'll vacuum test it when it's done. But that should button up this side. I'll put these hoses back in, and then hopefully I don't have to be back here again, so guard can go back on. Heater hose and aircon hoses are all finished. It's cramped, but it's functional. I always knew it was going to be cramped. I tried my best to try and spread it out, but it's got to be there, and all the hoses go in the same direction, which makes it a bit awkward, but that's how that's all going to be. New hoses on the heater core, new hoses on the heater tap. Should be all sweet. And that's how it will look with all of the ducting back in. Obviously you won't see any of this because of the dash, but kind of gives a good indication. This is your demist, your foot duct, and the one that's in the corner of the dashboard. But your feet are going to be below here. Maybe some toes might get near that hose, but I don't think so. I think it'll be alright. Alright, that's that job done. Completed brackets for the intercooler, transmission cooler, and AC condenser. See how they work here. They bolt in through the headlight buckets. On the back of the headlight buckets I've got this little frame here, which connects from the rail, oops, up to the top of the radiator support, and also has the condenser bolted in from the back. So that will add rigidity for the top radiator support, but also make sure that all of these other components, focus, are rigid as well and not hanging off just the headlight buckets. So that's all in. Pretty easy to remove. I can remove these two as a slab by just removing these two bolts. On this side it's 2 bolts, and on this side it's 2 studs with nuts on the back of them. I've welded the bolt heads in here, so I can remove this whole thing. Yeah, good focus, really good. I can remove this whole thing by just undoing these 2 bolts and holding onto the transcooler, turning it on the side and sliding it out this way. Nice and easy. I think I'm working out the ducting. I've just taken the transcooler out because what I'm going to do, I've just done a bit of CAD here, you know, don't mind my extreme skills, but that will sit in there, divide the intercooler and the condenser. I'll make a tab to mount it up in here. This face here sits just inside the front lip of the grill, so I'll just tag it here. Same on the top. I haven't got any sheet metal. I've only got like 3mm steel plate, which I think is probably a bit heavy for this, so I might try and get a bit of sheet metal tomorrow. But yeah, that's symmetrical. Do the same thing on this side, and then I just have to do a divider that runs right across the bottom here, which shouldn't be too hard. It's just trying to find a way to secure that, but I'll make a tab off the bottom of the radiator support to come up from below. Should be alright. Just to try and demonstrate why, without that cover, wind's going to come in the front here. It's going to hit the front of this and just go that way because there's a massive hole. So it'll go straight around the condenser and it'll go straight around the radiator. If I block that off to here, it has to go through. Then the car will cool properly. Just on that bottom part. Bolts in here. I'm going to weld the nuts on the bottom just so it's easy to get to from the top. And the intercooler sits flush against this pitch weld on the side. I ran out of pinch weld, so I'll have to get some more. And I just need to put a tab. I might put 2 tabs just to secure this, just so it doesn't flop like that. I'll just secure it to the radiator support underneath here. But I reckon that'll work. How's this looking? Air ducts. Okay. I reckon that'll force air through the condenser and the radiator pretty well. It's looking alright. I just want to do one more sort of duct though. I just want to put some extensions on the front of the transcooler, just sort of bring a lip out, maybe 30mm on the top and bottom, and I'll bolt that to the sides over here, and I won't actually touch the cooler, just to force the air that's coming this way to go through instead of doing this, going around. 30mm should be enough to actually guide it through, and it won't actually impede airflow to the condenser or the radiator, I don't think. So I'll do that. I'll just bolt it to the sides, and the center support here for the horn, I'll just put a tab on it just to keep it rigid, and that will be done then. It fits inside the edge of the grill. The grill will sort of hold it in place. So yeah, can't really tell now, but it sits inside the grill one. Yeah, I think that'll work. That's all the ducting finished now. The transcooler hoses still fit through. Horns still fit. Just have to move them up a little bit. All done. I just need to tidy up some of the edges when I take it out next for paint. But yeah, that I think will function. I'm going to wrap up this video here. I had planned on doing the heater hoses and finishing them up to the fittings over here and securing them across the firewall, but I haven't quite decided how that's going to happen yet, and it may change once the brake booster and the brake lines are in. So they're just going to sit here for the moment, but everything else is done. The AC is all connected. I haven't pressure tested it, but I'm sure it'll be fine. I will be able to, well, not pressure test it, but vacuum test it. I will be able to do that in the future video as well. But that'll do it for this one. Next up will be Haltech stuff. So got the hole in the firewall just here to start running wires through. I need to start planning where the Nexus will be installed, how to install the IC7. Got a few things already in motion there, but that's coming up next. So I know this has been a bit of a boring video. Hopefully the next one will be a bit more exciting. So thank you very much all for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't, and stay tuned.